Hey guys, here's an interesting record I just randomly pulled out of my collection the other day, and I thought I would do a little 3 or 4 minute bit on this record called Monkey Puzzle, just in time for Black History Month, starting in February. White guy talking about Black history? Well, this record is very historic and nobody else is talking about it. First record label in America owned by an African American. This is their first LP release. And this record is all about America's first family of jazz, the Marsalis family. So let me get into this record called Monkey Puzzle, 1963. Monkey Puzzle is actually the name of a tree. I think it grows in Africa, but the significance of the word Monkey Puzzle is it's the title track from the song on here, written by James Black, the drummer. Not a super well-known drummer outside of New Orleans, never really made records as a leader, but was a sideman with a lot of groups. And he actually wrote about half the songs on here, so we don't think of drummers as composers, but some drummers certainly are good composers. So Ellis Marsalis, who is he? Ellis Marsalis Jr., you may know, is the father of Wynton Marsalis and Branford Marsalis, the whole Marsalis family. And Ellis, you could kind of think of him as the patriarch of the Marsalis family, kind of a famous family in American jazz. But in reality, you should probably think of his father, Ellis Sr., as the patriarch of the family, because he was a prominent businessman and social activist in New Orleans, and he owned a famous hotel called the Marsalis Family Mansion, and that's been demolished since then, but it's kind of a historical place. In the early 60s, Ellis Sr. helped his son, Ellis Jr., bankroll and open up a jazz club called the Music Haven. So this record says it's Ellis Marsalis Quartet at the Music Haven, but it doesn't sound like a club recording at all. It totally sounds like a studio recording. There's no applause, there's no glasses clinking. It sounds like a pretty good sounding studio recording. So this record I got for $1 at a thrift shop, and actually the record is in very good shape. It sounds fine. The cover is really beat up. You'll see that there's a lot of Scotch tape, and you got to be careful using Scotch tape on records because it yellows over time, and this person put like way too much Scotch tape on. But record sounds fine. Kind of a low budget production, black and white cover only. The catalog number you can see there, 0001 LP. So, like I said, this is the first LP made on this label called AFO, which stands for All for One, which was the first record label in America owned by an African American. And that gentleman's name was Henry Batiste. So he was a well-known musician in New Orleans, and he eventually moved to Los Angeles and did other gigs, like he became the musical director of Sonny and Cher for like a decade. So the Marsalis family, Ellis Marsalis Jr., he wasn't really well known when he put out this record in 1963. And the Ellis family dynasty of musicians wasn't well known either, because Wynton and Branford were just kids. They were like 2-3 years old at the time, so who knew they would grow up to become a really famous family. There's Wynton, everybody knows. Wynton, one of the most famous trumpet players in America. Wynton is a little bit controversial because he's really steeped in this New Orleans style jazz, and Louis Armstrong is his hero, and he always talks about Louis Armstrong nonstop, which is great. Louis Armstrong is and should be considered the kind of the founder, the father of jazz. But Wynton kind of rejects more modern jazz. He's not a real fan of the free jazz and the avant-garde, and what was the other one? Fusion. Definitely not a fan of fusion. You won't see him doing any fusion records as far as I can tell. But then his brother Branford Marsalis is the saxophone player, and he's actually probably more famous in some ways because he was the musical director of The Tonight Show with Jay Leno for many years. And I have some of his records, and he's more, let's say, involved in the modern jazz world that records are being made today. And then there's Delfeo, another brother who I think is a trombone player. Anyway, very musical family. And Ellis, the father of these guys, is still alive today, at least in early 2019. He's still alive, I think, in his mid-80s and still active in different educational and foundation stuff. So, Monkey Puzzle, really rare record. Actually, it's not even listed on Ellis Marsalis's Wikipedia page. It's not even listed in his discography. So I don't know how well known he was when this record was made, but it's good jazz from the period. It sounds good, good performances, and I'm lucky to have found it. I'm not going to say go check it out or go buy it, because I don't think you'll find it anywhere. I don't see it on eBay. You may see one or two songs on YouTube, but it's an interesting piece of jazz history right here in my hands, so thought I would share it with you. Thanks, guys. We'll check you next time.